I was so wrong
Pretty
about
good.
it. It was great.
And we
Pretty
were
good.
all
Really,
wrong.
really good.
Yeah.
But how could you blame us for thinking it was going to be shit?
No,
No,
and
you're right. No,
don't expect anything to be good after this either. I mean, like we've
Yeah.
seen too many cases of that. Blind squirrel finds an acorn once in a while, and then they fired the guy who wrote it. So,
Which was,
same old
I
Disney.
mean, he said he wrote most of season 2. Whatever you want to say about him, and I know he does some weird stuff. Like he is like retweeting shippers the other day.
God.
He's obviously a fan. Like you don't do what he did with the writing and not have read most of those comics, because that's what the show was. The show was basically a greatest hits of Uncanny
It was
X-Men.
greatest hits, and it really captured the soap opera of.
Yes, it did.
Which is
Yeah.
I mean, most comics are soap operas, by the way. Most,
But the X-Men was a big drama.
Extra.
So was Teen Titans, actually.
Yes,
Both of those books were. That's why they were the most popular books. Drama sells.
Yeah,
it
did.
Those books are full of drama.
That's why I became like, especially after Byrne left, I became, that's why I was just more of a Daredevil Street comics guy. Spider-Man, Daredevil. Like my Fantastic Four. I like, just the 60s Marvel. That's what I stuck with most of the time.
What do you think about the Fantastic Four reboot?
The comics?
No. The
movie?
The movie. Yeah.
I think it's gonna be shit.
Yeah, me too.
I think it's gonna be total shit. Look at the writers, look at the director. The director's just a TV director.
Well, that's what I've been saying. Deadpool 3, if it's any good, is just going to be an island in a sea of piss.
Yes, I totally agree. It's right back to normal. Like, what's going to be funny is when the completely reshot Black Falcon Captain America comes out and it's still shit. That will be funny. And it will be shit.
They're going to ride this wave because, I mean, what else? So there's X-Men, which has now got people excited again. And then,
for how long?
For how long exactly was what I was going to get to. Because then you're going to have, I actually think Deadpool 3 will be good. I think you're going to get the Wolverine that we've never gotten to see. Because even in Logan, like we got to see some, but he was dying in that movie. This time he's, I mean, obviously at full health. So
yeah, what's that? What's the whole
except
thing
for his
about
claws
the whole,
being fucked up?
The whole like Prime thing that I was reading about, something about like if there's like a Prime person for every multiverse nonsense. You know what I'm talking about?
So like in each multiverse, there's a Prime being.
Yeah.
In each multiverse.
Yeah, apparently. I don't know. That's what I was reading about. It's like, and if the Prime being dies, the multiverse dies, or something like that. Something stupid. Maybe Chad knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
but that was the whole thing.
Sounds gay to me.
I wouldn't. Yeah, sounds Disney to me.
Yeah, I can't think of
what's
that.
the Prime? Is it
was that some comic that I didn't read? Because I'm not trying to be like sarcastic. Maybe I didn't know if that.
Well, they borrow a lot of
comics?
continuity. They bought they maybe because like they use a lot of continuity post 2016, 17. Like, and I haven't read New Marvel in 3.5 years.
If it's after 2016 stuff, I'm out of the loop.
Yep.
And they've changed a lot of shit. I think they changed Apocalypse's origin again. Somebody told me. What is it
now?
I don't know. I don't know what his new origin is, but I can
Probably
tell you
another
X-Men,
baby.
in X-Men 97, they changed up they're going to have to change up his origin because they give Cable's arm to Bastion. That's who sent all of them into the future and the past because he absorbed Cable's arm in the comics. Cable's arm goes to Apocalypse, which is how he's able to talk to his ship and use all that tech. Right, Gary? Isn't that how he did it? Because Cable goes to the past and try to kill him and loses his arm.
Yep.
And that's what makes Apocalypse so
the
powerful.
only thing I didn't know because
he integrates it into himself because he can control himself.
Who does Cyclops see in the future?
Who what?
Who does Cyclops and Jean see in the future?
That's Rachel Summers, that Indian looking character that she becomes. I don't remember.
The thing about rewriting the origins
it's the Red and
of the character,
Slim run is what it is going to be. Because that's the run where they raise Cable. But they're not in their own bodies. They're like in different people's bodies. It's the adventures of Cyclops and Phoenix. It's actually a really good run.
The problem with rewriting characters' origins is the way that they do it. It's like what they did with Nightcrawler, right? Like the butt baby thing. Like that's how they rewrite. That's how they rewrite these characters. for the modern audience. I don't understand the audience that's supposed to be for. Exactly.
It's for nobody. There's only one audience.
It's themselves. That's the
yeah.
audience of
It's
themselves.
such a weird thing.
There wasn't
though,
even an
Garrett.
audience
That's
for
the
X-Men
thing.
97. No one
Like,
watched it.
I understand there's weird people out there, but like all of these weird people just seem to be in these positions where they can create this garbage. And then we just get this weird, twisted story or narrative. Sorry, go on.
No, it's fine. I was just say Paul actually brought this point up the other day. They are making it for themselves. The problem is all the queerdos are in Hollywood. Like that 0.1% of the people in the population that are all into this shit, that's where they're all at. And they are making shit for themselves. Problem is nobody else watches it.
It's like I thought the pendulum was actually swinging the other way.
It kind of is. Disney though, no. Amazon, no.
But you look at what they've just done with. I watched those clips from Doctor Who, and then they've got the thing from the Tales of the Empire. Like even in Star Wars, it's even ramping up even more. It seems.
Well,
like
it's the pendulum swinging the other way with the audience. Like they can make that. They're going to make this shit all they want, and nobody's going to watch it.
That's
None
true.
of that. Those Tales of the Empire, nobody fucking talked about them. Could you imagine like something like that just not being talked about at all? And apparently Darth Vader's in it for like just a second.
It's just the keys, Gary. It's just keys.
Yeah.
And there's two lightsabers stabbing. Two people die from lightsabers, but don't
look
die.
at Rhino just pulling it to Star
Wars. No. All right, change the subject.
We were talking X-Men, which is much more fun to talk about.
Well, yeah, it's
kill me, please.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy that the best thing, the most Marvel thing Disney has put out, and I would even go so far as to include the MCU in that, but the most Marvel thing they put out is X-Men 97, and it's.
But is that? Just
I think that's all Bo DeMeo, and I think that's
it is.
Do you think they found out he was a fan and then they fired him, Gary, for being a fan?
I do, Flash. Yeah, what do you think, Gary?
I think it's I think there's got to be
I'm kidding,
probably difficult to work with. That would probably be because he was kind of like Henry on the set of The Witcher.
Willing
he
to
was
compromise,
probably not willing to compromise, and a bunch of the Karens who fucking work at Disney Marvel, especially in middle management, started complaining and probably got him out there. Just called him difficult. And he
already was painted that from The Witcher, so it was easy for people to believe it.
Yep.
Because that's what I was thinking. Like, how are you gonna fire a gay black man at Disney and get away with it like that? And so far, there's nothing that's come out to support any good reason other than he was just good and he actually wanted to make X-Men.
It's not enough to be a gay black man now. You got to be a 2-fer or a 3-fer. Remember that Film Threat article?
And
where
an ally too. Yeah.
You should tell him he's non-binary.
Yeah.
You know that would have.
The problem is that he didn't want to put it actually into his show. That's why they
spell
got
his name like
right?
Bo Derek. You know.
Well, he put some stuff in there, but the show overall was so good that I was willing to give it a pass.
They probably had to convince him, though. I bet. Like, I still think they probably had to come around about way of convincing him some of this stuff. Because that's what I think you were right, Flash. I think they brought him in. They're like, oh, he's a double shiny. He's a black gay dude. Maybe he likes X-Men enough to write this crap. And they think they can manipulate these people. Right. And it's the same.
Well, they have been able to, right? So this casting, it's not hiring, it's casting of directors and producers. It's because they're controllable. They're cheap and they're controllable, and producers really don't want, yes, they want their thing to be good and they want their name on it, but they want control over it. And it's kind of a pain in the ass to work with an R2 director or somebody who knows the source material, especially when you've had it for so long and there's so many people at Disney Marvel who have no fucking idea what they're talking about.
He's not willing to play ball because he was out there throwing Witcher under the bus right alongside Henry Cavill.
Yep.
Right. And to me, that's like, he wasn't even going to protect them bitches.
Well, that's such a no-no in Hollywood too. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of ballsy he did.
Maybe he got,
that's what I mean.
Speaking of Hollywood no-nos, maybe it's because he actually made Cyclops comparable. And,
that's one of the biggest surprises for me when I was watching it. I was like, holy shit, Cyclops is an actual guy.
He's a white straight man, and he's fucking
They probably
great
wanted to
show.
put that polycule relationship in there between them, and he's like, fuck that. Like, Wolverine is the straight as an arrow can be.
That should be a love. Like what they've done to those characters in the comics is sad, so sad, because it's a love triangle, right? But that's where it should stop. Jean,
and that's probably what he said.
That's what she said.
I mean, in that show, Cyclops is a good leader.
Yeah,
and
he's a badass.
He's a badass. They haven't. Cyclops has been shit on for a long time. This is the coolest he's looked in media.
Yeah,
Dude, in the first episode when he's like
time.
using his optic beams and he's like bouncing between dudes and knocking them out, I was just like, am I in some Twilight Zone right now? Like, there's a straight white guy in a Disney product right now who's a badass. I couldn't believe it.
Here's something else on that. And I know he knows this and he didn't do it, but in the comic books and in the show, Cyclops is a loving, caring father and guilty about, sending Nathan to the future to get fixed. In the comics, as soon as Jean comes back to life, he ditches Madeline and his baby. Doesn't give a fuck about him. He's a deadbeat dad. And she comes back around later, but he abandons them to go be with Jean again. In the show, he has more. It seems like he's more into Madeline and his son. Like, he actually made him a better kind of father figure in that show, and in my opinion. But in the comics, he fucking runs to go back to Jean the moment she comes back, and abandons Madeline and Nathan.
There's a lot of things surprising about that show for me, man. I like just the fact that, for example, they made Wolverine a side character instead of a main thing, which I thought was a good idea. I really like that. The whole Gambit thing, which I don't want to spoil if someone hasn't watched it.
Oh,
my favorite
sorry to cut you off real quick, but the reason that Madeline goes evil, someone in the chat said, is because she fucking pissed that Cyclops ditched her. That's one of the things that turns her evil.
Dad.
Yes.
Yep. One thing I was surprised no one really complained about was that I noticed, I don't know if it's just me, but I noticed that when Sunspot uses his powers, he has blackface, and no one said anything. It's just something I noticed
in the comics, but
yeah, I know, yeah. But
it's okay as long as it's not a white person.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
Yeah.
Okay, we're good then.
The thing is like, isn't there supposed to be a season 2 to this?
Yeah,
they've got rid of the original guy. So it worries me about the second season. It almost seems like that whole Diamond in the Rough thing again. Like, yeah, you get one good season, but here we come. Now we're going to ramp all the bullshit up.
But did you remember that, Gary, about because I didn't think about that till the other day, that Cyclops went out for a pack of smokes in the comics and didn't come back.
Yeah. He did. Well, that's pretty much how they treat all dads now, and that's been going on for a long time. That's a Hollywood trope. It's kind of it goes all the way back to mythology, to be honest with you, but it's a trope.
Scott is a loving husband and father in X-Men 97.
In X-Men 97, yeah, which is new and different, all new, all different.
Yeah. I liked that change, though. I mean, I always thought that was kind of fucked up in the comics, but I liked him being a good, strong guy. Like, we don't see that. And I know that the morph stuff, I don't like the stuff that, like, changing morph in the non-binary, I think is stupid, especially for a 90s show, because that didn't exist. But, like, overall at the end, like, he's such an insignificant character in the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
It's
he was just good for the cameos for Hulk and
he was
Reed Richards.
Key jangler.
Yeah.
They gave him the keys to jangle.
Hey, dude, we saw Daredevil and Spider-Man, Cloak and Dagger.
We had another example. Go on.
I have to wonder with this show, like, this is what I've been thinking about this over the past couple of weeks. And I wonder, and we've all kind of suspected this, like, they played that shit up. The media was running with it. I wonder if, like, Disney's telling them to play that up and make that a vocal point of the marketing to get people riled up intentionally now. Because when I watched that show, like, Morph is barely in it. He's in the background the whole time. It's not to the end.
He's more comic relief than anything.
Well, that's where my question was.
Scene with Wolverine.
Did he get referenced as a non-binary character in the show?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
What I recall. I mean, other than his, like, lisp,
So why did they
just refer to, whenever they talk to Morph, they refer to him as them. That's the only thing they do. Besides that's nothing.
And I think there's a scene where he's got a crush on, like, Wolverine or something, where he said
that's in the last episode, right?
In the last episode, he turns into Jean Grey and tells him that he loves him. But the thing with that show, if if this was 10, 15 years ago, nobody would have cared about that scene in the 10 episodes, because like there's been stuff like that in media since the 80s. And even in X-Men comics, I mean, there was Destiny and Mystique back in the Claremont run, so it's always kind of been there, but it's the problem that Hollywood is putting it in everything that annoys people.
In
But
video
also,
games too,
the fact that they promote that as what the show is more about than what the show's actually supposed to be about. You know, when they do the runs and they do the promotion stuff, it's like, yeah, it's about a strong female character. Okay, but what is the story that you're wanting to tell here? Like, where's the...
for that scene, there's 3 strong heterosexual relationships in the show with like Forge and Storm get a thing going. There's the Jean and Scott stuff. And then there's also Jubilee and Sunspot and
Magneto, Rogue, and
Gambit.
I feel so bad for Gambit. Damn.
Yeah, Rogue just runs
Poor
back
guy.
to geriatric World War II man. Like as soon as he's ready, because she can actually.
It is kind of full of feelings in hallways of mansions. Yeah.
That's X-Men. That
is X-Men.
That's why I was never like, it's never been my favorite thing in the comics, is because I love the battles and I like the mutants. I like the concept, but man, it gets a little soapy. So
yeah,
I think
that was always one of those
good,
I like.
Though.
I mean, yeah, as far as like, yeah, but
I think the soap opera element. I mean, there's a reason that like people like that stuff. I mean, Teen Titans was full of it. And
X-Men was the best-selling comic forever.
Yeah,
forever, until Marvel like purposely fucked it up. It would probably still be that way. Well, it would be selling.
Wasn't that kind of Ike Perlmutter though, Gary, in that era?
Yes.
Well, that was because he was so pissy about that deal.
Well, yeah.
Perlmutter
put out the edict that since Fox had the rights to
he
canceled the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
Dude. Yeah. He canceled it.
He's like, fuckers.
So like there's some stuff I agree with the guy on. He was also a fucking moron.
Well, and the reason behind it though, and I don't agree with what he did, but the reason I understand, like, because the deal was made before he was part of the company, and they were some of the shittiest deals they had ever made in the history of Hollywood. And that's why Sony still has Spider-Man to this day, partially too.
The only dumber deal is Disney buying Fox for $72.
Pretty much. And not doing a goddamn thing with it. Yeah.
Fucking retarded.
But yeah, so he was just pissed that they sold off these rights for next to nothing before he was even part of the company. Yep. So he would go in, and if there was like an X-Men movie would open #1 at the box office, he would come in on Monday morning and tear down all the X-Men posters and literally rip them up with his teeth and shit, I guess, and be all pissy. And he'd be like, kill them all. We're going to get rid of them in the comics. We'll fuck them over. He'd do that kind of shit all the time. He did the same thing during Fantastic Four, I guess, too. So he was just hardcore with that. He just hated that deal they made.
Yes, he did. Oh, well, he kept Marvel alive and turned it around though. Like he
used the mutants though to get that deal on the figures to come into the country though. Cause that was the whole thing he fought for, was that, they weren't humans. So he didn't have to pay that extra tax. Those stupid dolls.
Well, this is a guy, he's like self-made, right? He's not some trust fund kid.
He's not stupid. No,
he was a poor kid from Israel, him and Avi Arad, and war veteran. And how did he make his money? He was like buying and reselling cheap shit. I can't remember what it was. But it got him into toys. So
I was about to say that is the hustle of toys and comics, and
that was kind of where
cheap, selling it high.
Yep.
But it's a grind though, because it's only a couple of bucks like per item usually on the profit margin.
But now he's a multi-billionaire, a bitter one.
Just it.
Yeah.
I mean, he made Marvel. He built Marvel up. Oh well, not just him, but with the help of those guys in the first Marvel phase, built that franchise into something that nobody could compete with
at all. Yeah, they all tried to replicate it.
Remember the Dark Universe? They destroyed Hollywood. Yeah.